So hi everyone, and thank you for having me here. So since you've already done the presentation, I will skip that part and I will speak today about the Tome project, which is a project that is part of the Open Measure Wiki, whose ambition is to build a scientific grade dictionary for identity and access management professionals. So here is our agenda for today. I will simultaneously uh, show, speak about a number of key identity and access concepts. I hope that this part will be informative to you, that you will learn something out of it. And in parallel, I will switch back and forth with a presentation of the TOME project, which stands for the Open Measure Encyclopedia, and to show you how you could use this as a tool in your organization. Okay, so what you see here is what we call a conceptual diagram. Its purpose is to show the key components of a concept. And here we are looking at the concept of password spraying attacks, which is obviously a very important concept in cybersecurity. It is extracted from the Tome dictionary. A password spraying attack is, as it is depicted here, is one particular type of threat, actually, that is a subclass of brute force attack technique that is used by threat actors to they compile probable passwords that will be built from both common passwords and build password, as we can see it here. The build password will be typically based on public information that is related to the target user population. And the threat actor will use a rotation scheme to guess the identity passwords within the system and to attempt to authenticate with these passwords. We're not going to go into all the details, but this kind of attack is particularly popular when we have an identity management system that is that has a large population and that is accessible publicly. Um, it is this kind of attack is used both for initial exploitation or lateral movement, and there are a number of countermeasures that are well known to counter this kind of attacks that are some of which are depicted here. Of course, you may follow the link to have the full details here. So what we've just seen here was what we call a conceptual diagram, and it helps people, I think, with their learning curve to learn new concepts especially in computer science or cybersecurity. But the Tome project has the ambition to develop full definitions for most identity and access management related terms. And there is, of course, much more to it than conceptual diagrams. In the dictionary, you'll find all bibliographic references, several definitions sometimes, and multiple links to related concepts. Let's look at another conceptual diagram extracted from the dictionary, which is privilege abuse. And here, what we see is that a privilege abuse, which is a completely different concept, is an abusive usage of effective access permission. So one of the key characteristics of privilege abuse is that we are talking about access permissions that the user has already. It applies to all domains of identity and access management, workforce, customer identities, technical identities as well. One of the key characteristics of privilege abuse is that it is intentional. Which distinguishes it from other type of access abuses. It is documented that the key motivations for privilege abuse are fun and curiosity and financial gains. There are two subclasses of privilege abuse. One is excessive privilege abuse and the other is legitimate privilege abuse. We'll not have time here to cover these in details. And again, we provide here a number of countermeasures for this. So why are we concerned here about these concepts and why are we talking about concept definitions? Well, the whole this whole project started from two key questions. The first question was, what is the most critical success factors of IAM programs? And this is a key question because in the field of identity and access management, we are well known for our failures. Our projects tend to go late, over budget, and to not deliver what they were expected to deliver. So IAM is a field that is difficult and that has a bad track record. And the key critical success factor for IAM programs within organization is communication. And this you of course learn it when you study business management, when you study project management, but this is absolutely true and key for running IAM programs as well. But then the second question that arises is what is the building block of communication? Because it's nice to say that it is important to have a great communication plan when you run an IAM program within an organization, but then how do you accomplish this? And the building block of communication is words and concepts. And it happens that in the field of identity and access management, our words and concepts are very badly defined and people have a lot of confusion around this key concept. So to get your communication plan right, of course, you need soft skills and other things, but at least you need to have, at the minimum, accurate definitions for the concepts that you use. And this is something that we generally don't have in our field. Okay, so let's have a look at another concept extracted from the TOME project. For example, here we see the conceptual diagram for what is an orphan account. And an orphan account is actually a digital identity, but that also constitutes a risk, more specifically a security risk and sometimes a compliance risk. The particularity of orphan account is that usually digital identities are linked to a subject or an entity that owns the digital identity. And in the situation where we are talking about orphan accounts, this link has been broken. There is no link with an entity that has active and legitimate ownership over the digital identity. Orphan accounts are particularly interesting if we look at the causes, what makes them spread into the information system. Often people think of the leaver process. This is when we have employees that leave the organization and if we forget to deactivate or remove, delete their accounts in the organization. But orphan accounts may have multiple other causes. They may spread into the organization. For example, when we have aborted recruitment. This is something that happens in large organization. You recruit someone, he's expected to start next week, and then finally something happens and the person does not show up. In this situation, you will probably have already configured the account profile for this this new staff member. And since he will never officially leave the company because he never started, you may end up in your information system with user accounts declared in applications, sometimes with default passwords, which is obviously a bad practice. So we are not going to go into all the details, and there are again a number of well-known countermeasures that may help you mitigate the risk of orphan accounts in your organization. Good. So coming back to this TOME project, this dictionary for identity and access management, the question you may ask is, well, how much does it cost? It looks like interesting, I could benefit from it. I would like to reuse it within my organization. So how much does it cost? And the good news is that it is perpetually free. It is owned by the Open Measure Nonprofit Association. So, and all the content that is provided online on the wiki is under Creative Commons license, which means that you can just go there, take the content, use it, distribute it all over the place, and make good use of it. Okay, coming back to another sample extract from the Open Measure dictionary, let's consider the concept of account takeover. So this is a pretty straightforward concept that basically it is committed by a perpetrator who takes control of a victim's digital identity. So that's pretty straightforward. In general, it is of course illegal, and the main motivations for it are reputation harm and identity deception. Then the question that we may pose is, okay, we would like to have accurate definitions for our cybersecurity concept or our identity and access management concept. So what is a good definition? And what we've done at Open Measure is to study lexicography, which is the science and art of making dictionaries, to design a methodology in such a way as to develop good definition or robust definition that are that are academic grade or scientific grade for, but still accessible for the general public. You've already seen some of our example conceptual diagram. The idea here is that the learning curve is facilitated when people see a picture of an ID rather than when they need to read text. But this is, of course, not sufficient to have good definitions. Good definitions require iterative work. It is often imperfect. And one of the key things that we need to help us bring those definitions to the highest standard level possible is to receive feedback from the community. So we are very keen on receiving feedbacks from field professionals. Please let us know if we forgot something, if something was not accurate enough in our definition, let us know, and we will be most happy to provide new versions of the definition. Let's consider another of these sample concept extracted from the Tome Dictionary. Here we consider the concept of identity guardian. So what is an identity guardian? Well, those of you who worked in identity and access management for the workforce in an organization have probably never been acquainted with this concept. This is a concept that is more related to identity management systems that are open to the large public, including social media. So what is it? When you have among your population of subjects, minors or adults that are under legal guardianship, or when you have people who grant power of attorney to their lawyers, for example, then you are in a situation where the link between the digital identity and the person who is using it is split into several roles. There's no longer just one person, the subject, who represents or owns the digital identity. And in this situation, you have another person called the identity guardian who will act on behalf of the subject. And this is a situation that is required. It may sometimes it is legally required in a number of jurisdictions when you have minors in your system, or it may simply be functionally required if you have, for example, especially in the field of customer and identity access management, where you may have customers who grant power of attorney to third parties. Okay, so I provide here some key links to access the dictionary. The first link is the homepage of the dictionary, and the second link is extremely important for us. It is our bibliography, because when we want to develop a dictionary, the first step is to develop what we call a corpus in the field of lexicography. A corpus is basically a large database of authoritative sources. And to develop the Open Measure dictionary, what we've done is that we built from academic sources, scientific research, but also from industry white papers and so on, a large database of content, of authoritative content on the field of identity and access management. And our goal is, of course, it is not um, um, uh, to provide definitions that show what we think words should mean, but really how the terms and the concepts are used in the field by the experts in the field. So for this reason, the bibliography is absolutely an essential component of our work. Now let's have a look at another interesting concept that we documented in our, let me just check the time. Yeah, we're okay. Another concept that has been defined in our dictionary, the concept of authorization externalization. So here, this is an an architectural design pattern that consists in pulling the authorization logic or the authorization system outside of the application instead of implementing it inside the application. And there are a number of solutions that may enable such an architectural design. For example, third-party authorization system, or it may be also custom development. And there are a number of standards as well that may be interesting, such as OPA or XACML, even though XACML is probably less popular nowadays. The goal of authorization externalization or the key drivers for it is, of course, to reduce cost, because then you don't have to manage multiple authorization system modules within your application, to reduce the complexity of the system, and also to bring improved scalability in the management of authorizations. Okay, so how could you help? Well, of course, as a user of the dictionary, if you're interested in the field of identity and access management, then you may just use the dictionary and promote it. This will help us. But if you are expert in a particular field, then we would be most happy to collaborate. We are looking for authors to help us work on dictionary entries. So you may help us by authoring entries, and just reach out to me. I will be most happy, and you will be warmly welcomed in our community. We are looking also for reviewers who will critique and comment on our dictionary entries to ensure that they are at the highest possible standard level. And finally, of course, sponsor or patrons. If people are interested in supporting this project, that is a commutative community project that is absolutely free of charge for everyone, then we do have a number of financial charges, not so much, but patrons are very welcome to help us pursue this project. Okay, perhaps I would like to show you one last concept before we wrap up. So here, this is an interesting concept, information security domain. So what it is, IT engineers very often are confused about this concept because they are acquainted, for example, with the Microsoft Active Directory domain, which is an object of one particular proprietary system that has nothing to do with an information security domain. And people tend to completely confuse the two concepts. Information security domain is really a concept that comes from computer science, and it is basically a subclass of general systems. And it is defined as a system that is composed of authorities that have the authority to define, generally through policies, who is authorized to do what on a number of resources. So an information security domain is bounded, it is consistent, and it encapsulates a number of subjects or entities that are allowed to perform operations on these resources. Probably your organization is an information security domain and may even contain a number of information security subdomains. One of the key characteristics of information security domains, as it is defined in the scientific literature, is that it constitutes a community of interest between the entities and the authorities. So, um, where are we going from there? So I showed you quickly a number of conceptual diagrams that were extracted from this dictionary that we are working on. Now, our goal is to continue this community effort to develop an exhaustive dictionary that is of a high quality, completely specialized on the field of cybersecurity and more specifically identity and access management to start with. We hope that progressively, within a few months from now, we will be able to publish it also as a document in addition to the wiki, and that this will serve the community of identity and access management professionals who will have the dictionary that they deserve. In particular, one of the key reasons behind this whole project is that in my professional experience, I spend an enormous amount of time explaining to people the concepts of identity and access management. And this takes me huge communication effort to bring everyone around me to the level of expertise in my field that is necessary. I need to explain to my top management what is IAM, where is the value, how we are going to do it, and so on and so forth. I need to speak to IT engineers, I need to speak to customers, I need to speak to all my third parties, and all this communication today is slowed by the fact that we have we are using confused concepts that people very often misunderstand. So by providing accurate definitions to our stakeholders, the bet that we are making here is that we will facilitate the execution of IAM programs within organizations. Thank you very much. And now I can look at whether we have questions.